Through a run a show. First, we're going to hear from Mayor Bass. Following that, we'll hear from City Attorney Heidi Feldstein-Soto. After that, we'll hear from Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. Following that, we'll hear from Dolores Huerta. After that, we'll hear from Eleanor Smeal. Following that, we'll hear from Catherine Spiller. And after that, we will hear from Camarina Davidson. Gabby is here and she has information about each speaker as needed. After we wrap from the speakers, we're going to bring this table over. The mayor, the city attorney, and Ms. Huerta will sign this important document. We'll hold for photos. After that, we'll allow the group to come back to the podium and we'll open it up for questions. And with that, Mayor Bass.
Good morning, everyone. It is definitely a pleasure and an honor to be here today. I want to add the voice of the City of Los Angeles to the national call to advance the Equal Rights Amendment. It is a particular honor to be here in City Hall along with civil rights leader Dolores Huerta, along with two other icons of the women's movement, Eleanor Smeal and Catherine Spiller, who are all coming together, who have devoted their lives to fighting on behalf of women's rights. We are also joined by LA's very first female city attorney, Heidi Feldstein-Soto, someone who has made this a top issue during her time here in City Hall, as well as my friend and former colleague from Congress, Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, another iconic woman leader who, when we served together for 12 years, I saw her lead the effort for the United States to have the first museum dedicated to women's rights, and who has been a champion for the Equal Rights Amendment for many, many years. Although she is no longer in Congress, she has chosen to take the fight to pass the Equal Rights Amendment to the American people. So she continues her advocacy in this manner, where we are going to go to mayors all around the country to build up the momentum for women's rights, period. But this is particularly important in light of what the Supreme Court did, reversing a right that women had for decades to decide what happens with their health care. We need an Equal Rights Amendment now more than ever, given the Supreme Court. And if we had an ERA, then we wouldn't have to worry about Congress threatening to pass a national law to prohibit a woman's right to choose. So I am very honored to be here, and let me now introduce Los Angeles's first city attorney, who is a woman.
Thank you, and thank you, Mayor Bass, for the kind introduction. I have to say I'm humbled and honored to be sharing this podium with so many icons and so many women who were involved in the fight for our rights. I was swept into office with a wave of powerful women in 2022. We broke barriers. 2 of our 3 citywide offices have their first female office holder ever, 172 years after the offices were founded. Mayor Bass being the first woman mayor, and I am the first woman city attorney, and yet we are still fighting the simple battles that dominated my existence as a first-year college student. I came to the mainland United States in 1975 to attend Swarthmore College. I was 17, and my first political act before I was registered to vote was to make phone calls into Florida and Illinois to see if we could get 2 of the 3 states that we needed for the passage of the ERA. So I was calling Puerto Ricans and other Latinos and other Spanish-speaking and bilingual communities in Miami, Tampa, Daytona Beach, and yes, Chicago. That was then our best hope. I knew then what I know that now. This amendment is critical, and so Congress really needs to act. As we stand here today, more than 30 years after I made those phone calls, we still don't have a constitutional right that enshrines the simple truth that the Declaration of Independence called self-evident. All men and women are created equal. Whether the question is how we address pay equity in the glass ceiling, sexual harassment, domestic violence, or my personal favorite, the distinction made by County of Washington versus Gunther that it was okay to discriminate against pregnant persons because both men and women could be non-pregnant persons, we need the Equal Rights Amendment today. Please speak up. Please sign up at sign for ERA.org. Brevemente en español, muchísimas gracias, alcaldesa Bass, congresista Maloney y Dolores Huerta por estar aquí hoy. Y gracias a todas estas mujeres por su liderazgo y la defensa de la enmienda de la igualdad de derechos de mujeres. Yo soy Heidi Feldstein Soto, orgullosamente su representante como abogada elegida de la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Es mi honor unir mi voz a esta lucha hoy. Yo llegué a los Estados Unidos en el 1975 para estudiar y mi primer acto político fue hacer llamadas a Florida y al estado de Illinois para tratar de pasar esta enmienda que garantiza la igualdad de la mujer. Hoy podemos hacer nuestra parte. Por favor, les pido su apoyo. Vayan a signforera.org, SIGN, el número 4, ERA.org, y favor, una su voz a esta batalla. Muchas gracias. Con eso es mi placer presentarles, I'm sorry, I should switch back to English. With that, it is my pleasure to bring forward Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. Such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mayor Bass, Dolores, Ellie, Heidi, and so many of my friends that are here and new friends. Thank you so much for helping me build the ERA petition drive. And thank you, Camarina, for doing the hard work on the event and for being a champion for Sign for the ERA. And to the reporters, hopefully all of you know why the ERA is so important and why we intend to have it recognized as ratified in 2024. It's the year that I believe we can and actually will get it enshrined in the Constitution. And I have to say something about my wonderful friend Karen Bass. In our years at Congress, she had this unique ability to go into whatever event was happening and sort of grab it and make it more meaningful, more substantive, more fun, and just better. When I came here for this meeting that we were having, an event for the Fund for the Feminist Majority, I called Karen. I said, I want to just come by. Would you sign the petition as a mayor, kick off the mayor's campaign for the ERA? And I thought I would be in the back room signing the petition, and she's put together this lovely event with so many people here to be part of it. And to the press, we did develop materials for you on the ERA. I hope you have copies of them that explain why this is the absolute year we have to get it done. The materials you have describe how the Sign for the ERA campaign started with my students at Hunter College as a semester project. They felt that too few students knew about the Equal Rights Amendment, and when they studied the history and heard about why it is needed, they wanted a simple way for supporters to help put it into the Constitution. They did research on a number of petitions and decided that we needed to mobilize the public, and mobilizing is what we've been doing. As Mayor Bass knows, over our many years in Congress together, I worked very closely across the aisle with Republicans and Democrats to advance rights for women through legislative efforts many deemed impossible. My absolute biggest disappointment in leaving Congress was that we had not enshrined the Equal Rights Amendment, recognized it as the 28th Amendment in our Constitution. But this year, I truly believe we are on the verge of that historic moment. We've been working on this for 100 years, not 1 year more. Many supporters are not aware that we have met all of the requirements of Article 5 of the Constitution, a 2/3 vote in the House, 2/3 vote in the Senate. 38 states have ratified it. The legislation in the form of a joint resolution is very close to passing with a majority in both houses, an action that will enable the archivist to certify and publish the ERA in the Constitution. Given the dynamics of the current Congress and the uncertainty of the upcoming election, I believe there is a timely opportunity to put the ERA into the Constitution. Only a handful of votes are needed. Over the next few months, I will be spending most of my time, all of my time, talking to my colleagues in Congress and trying to get those votes. As the materials you have point out, a discharge petition has been filed and is signed by 211 members of Congress. Only 7 more are needed to get to the 218 to bring it to a vote. The ERA first passed the House of Representatives in 1971 with a discharge petition by then Democrats Martha Griffiths and Shirley Chisholm, with the help from then Minority Leader Republican Gerald Ford. Today, I believe that the Dobbs decision is an absolute wake-up call. The Supreme Court literally reversed over 40 years of history to overturn it. And I would say that wake-up call has now turned into a nightmare, a sleepless nights for me, wondering what are they going to do next? Are they going to go after Title IX, equality of sports and education, or Title VII, equality of opportunity and jobs? Are they going to roll back the anti-discrimination, sexual harassment laws? Are they going to go after the equal opportunity rules under the EEOC? Really, if they can take away a woman's right to choose, they can take away any other right. And the only way we can protect women and girls is to put them in the Constitution where they rightfully belong. That is why this is so important. With Mayor Bass, I worked closely with her in Congress, where she was a strong supporter of the ERA and legislation helping to ensure gender and racial equality for women and men, LGBTQ+ people with disabilities, laws designed to end all forms of discrimination. She combated sex trafficking. She did so much. And we miss her in Congress, but she told me she needed to be here with her people in Los Angeles, that she could do more work here. But I am so thrilled that she is now joining with me and the United States Conference of Mayors with a new program of Mayors for the ERA. It is the mayors in this country who are closest to the constituencies, and many of the members of Congress, both Republican and Democratic, have served as mayors. Thank you, Mayor Bass, for today's event, and thank you for doing so much for women and girls, and being among the first mayors to sign a pledge to work and bring the sign for the ERA petition to the people to show the massive support that we have for equality of opportunity and rights. Thank you again so much for doing this, Mayor. Thank you. And we are, wow, now you have something very special. Dolores Huerta needs no introduction, whether she's in Los Angeles, California, or anywhere in the United States, or I would say anywhere in the world. She is an icon for me and people everywhere. She is a renowned American labor leader, civil rights activist. She co-founded the United Farm Workers Union alongside Cesar Chavez, and with Eleanor Smeal, she founded the Feminist Majority Foundation, who honored me last night, and I thank you again for that wonderful evening. She founded the Dolores Huerta Foundation, an organization that passionately advocates for social justice, focusing on empowering marginalized communities through grassroots organizing, civic engagement, education initiatives, and she is a lifelong fighter for the Equal Rights Amendment. It is my great honor to introduce, although she doesn't need an introduction, the great Dolores Huerta. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative Carroll, and I want to thank our Mayor Karen Bass for leading this fight for the Equal Rights Amendment with the mayors throughout the United States of America. Unfortunately, there are many people out there that are still kind of asleep. They assume that we have equal rights. They don't realize that we don't. And we know that the only way that we're going to get the equal rights that we need for women is to put it into the Constitution of the United States of America. So having this wonderful program going forth with our mayors at the lead And then, of course, we will follow up to make sure that we get as many people out there, the mayors and their constituents in every city, to also sign on to the petition. Yes, it is time for the Equal Rights Amendment to finally be put into the Constitution of the United States of America. The Feminist Majority Foundation will be spreading out to all the United States, to all of the campuses, going to every single campus and telling all of these young people out there, don't you think it's time that we finally have the Equal Rights Amendment in the Constitution of the United States of America? And we want to thank the press for being here, because we are going to depend on you also to carry that message forward, to let people know that we're not there yet, but we're very close. And with your help, we know that we can make it. So working all together, we will make that history. We will have the Equal Rights Amendment. It's the 20th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. And with your help, we will convince the Congress, the House of Representatives, to make it finally happen. Si se puede. Thank you very much. And it is my pleasure to introduce Kathy Spiller.
Eleanor.
Oh, Ellie. So I'm sorry. And so it's my pleasure to, I should have read my paper, to introduce the president of the Feminist Majority Foundation, Eleanor Smil, who has been a fighter for women's rights for many years, who actually coined the phrase about gender equality and making sure that women are recognized, women are elected as leaders to our state legislatures and to our Congress. Please welcome Ellie Smil. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you so much, Ellie.
Thank you. Well, we're very excited that Mayor is formed, Karen Bass, a strong women's rights leader also, and that you are signing the last push. We're going over the top this time with the Equal Rights Amendment. It's needed now more than ever before. We were just told by the Supreme Court that there is no basis in the no foundation, no building brick in the U.S. Constitution, and that the 14th Amendment does not cover sex discrimination. And they alluded to not only taking away the right to abortion, but the right to contraception and other rights, and as it's been just said, that the right to have an equal job opportunity or education. We're not going to stand for this. The ERA has been ratified. It has been passed by the state legislatures of 38 states. It has been passed by Congress. We want it in the Constitution. We're demanding that there will be a discharge petition to put it on the floor. But there's no way that we're going to lose and go backwards to the 70s or the 50s, or I guess one state considered going backwards to 1864. We're not going back there. We're a modern country, and the world is looking at the United States. And if we would go backwards on it, it would hurt not only us women in the United States, it would hurt us worldwide. We are not going back. The Taliban doesn't have a role in the United States, and it shouldn't have a role in Afghanistan either. Anyway, I don't want to stay too long. This is very important. We believe that a majority of the mayors are going to come out. And we're so proud of Mayor Bass for leading the way. Thank you so much. And I think, am I to introduce the next person? Is Kathy Spiller, the Executive Director of the Feminist Majority, Executive Editor of Ms. Magazine, our partner in this fight. And she's right here in Los Angeles. She's going to represent a huge fight here in Los Angeles, but it's not a fight. We know we have 75% of the population or more, especially of young people, right with us. So, Kathy, do you want to take it from there?
Thank you, Ellie, and thank you, Mayor Bass and Congresswoman Maloney. I'm really thrilled to be part of today. So as Ellie mentioned, I'm based in Los Angeles, and so the Feminist Majority Foundation is working with the California Women's Law Center. Betsy Butler is here, who heads the California Women's Law Center. 3 years ago now, we passed legislation in California to order the California Law Review Commission to review every statute and court decisions in the state of California to ensure that California law would comply with the Equal Rights Amendment. Because not only does the Equal Rights Amendment say that the federal government cannot discriminate against women, it also, on the basis of sex, it says that neither can state governments discriminate on the basis of sex. And we are already about 1.5 years into this review, and we're finding things that are going to need changing. And that is the role of the California Law Review Commission, is to recommend those changes to the state legislature. So stay tuned. California does not comply fully with the Equal Rights Amendment. We know it's been ratified. It is to take effect 2 years after ratification, so we're already behind, and we are pushing like there's no tomorrow to get this review done. So we will be reporting out as those results are available for press to consume and for the public to consume. But we are thrilled to be pushing forward here in California, considered one of the most progressive places in the country. But we have laws that need to be changed too. So I am now pleased to introduce the President of California Now. I'm sorry, Camarina Davidson. Camarina, my apologies.
No, it's fine. Thank you. Hello, I'm Camarina Palomera Schwartz Davidson. So I usually just go by Davidson, but it's the whole name. So I'm happy to be here today, and of course I'd love to thank Mayor Bass for making this happen, and also her staff who worked diligent with us to make it to be as wonderful as an event as it has turned out. And of course, I am so excited to be here among all these icons, starting with Carolyn Maloney, Dolores Huerta. Every one of these women have been like icons for me. Ellie Schmiel, of course, Heidi. So Carolyn, you're president of New York now, and I am president of California now, and those are the two largest states in now. So I think we need to make sure that the Equal Rights Amendment gets published in the Constitution. I mean, we have to do it. Absolutely. It's the year. You know, I've always known about Carolyn, of course, but it was more recently when I started working with the ERA champions on this Sign for ERA that I really got to know you more, a lot more. So it's a privilege to be here with you. I'm very, very honored. And, you know, the Sign for ERA, we have you steering us and guiding us and not letting us get down. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this. I know everybody's talked about the Sign for ERA, but what I wanted to share about Sign for ERA is that right now, California has the most signatures, yes, which I'm very excited about. And I'm hoping that we continue to do that because we are a large state and we have a lot of people that do believe, like we do, that women should have equal rights and it should be enshrined in the Constitution, and it's been too long and we need to do it. I have been active in the fight for gender equality since I was in high school. And of course, like all these women, some who have been on the march much longer than I have, I still can't believe that in this country, women have fewer rights than I had when I started fighting in high school. And we're not waiting anymore, not one more year. And this event here proves that the power of energized activists really do make change and they make things happen. And like with this, of course, it's with the help of a lot of people, but they make change. And that's what I'm asking people to do, to go and sign for ERA and sign the petition if you haven't done it. And if you have signed it, tell your friends and tell other friends. And now that's all we're doing, talking about everywhere we go, we talk about the Sign for ERA because it's that important, because Our lives do depend on it. Thank you. And now, Mayor Bass again. Yeah, they're bringing the tape.
Cheers.
Okay.
What did Neil Armstrong say? One small step for man, one large step for mankind. One small step for woman.
Yes.
And one large step for woman. Okay.
Camera's good.